What if the reason you haven't reached your goal has nothing to do with motivation? Would that make you happy or annoyed? Because I'll be honest, I'm not motivated every day either. Are you? And if you plan on only working when you feel inspired or motivated, it's probably not going to work out for you for very long. So that's why in this episode, I'm going to be talking about why you don't need more motivation to reach your goals. People might assume that because I'm a coach, I wake up every day motivated, or that because I've been a competitive athlete, I'm always motivated to go to the gym. And so on and so on. But I don't. I don't always feel excited to work out, to record a podcast, to write a blog, to make a difficult decision, tackle a big project, do my laundry, whatever it may be. So if you've been telling yourself, I just need more motivation, I just need to increase my motivation, then I want to change your mind because you might not have a motivation problem at all. And that could be a big relief. There have been many times when I waited for motivation. It never came. And one example of that is writing my book. I kept waiting to be inspired. I had the outline, I had the title, I kept waiting to be excited. I kept waiting to be completely ready to write it. But that feeling of those feelings didn't consistently arrive. And what helped me move forward, it wasn't suddenly having more motivation, though pre-selling your book and having to have it presented like 90 days later, that is a big push. But the key thing once I was in that mode was I needed to get clear on the next step. The way I thought you had to write a book was sitting behind a computer and typing away all by yourself. But you don't have to. So I actually spoke my book through a program that I sold, and getting clear on the next step of like, hey, I'm not doing it the traditional way. Obviously, I've sat on this for a year. Then what am I going to do? The next step was just deciding when I was actually going to do it, and then having someone who expected me to follow through. So, AKA accountability, in a friend of mine. And that's when I realized I wasn't really missing motivation. I was missing something completely different. And we're going to go through that today. See, motivation is a feeling. It's a feeling. It's not a strategy. It's not like I'm just going to have more motivation and be more motivated every day of the week, or I'm going to be 50% more motivated. Like you can't necessarily get yourself there by just saying, I'm going to be motivated. Just like you can't say, I'm just going to be happy. You can't be happy. You can change your actions and your behaviors and your thoughts and your beliefs to be looking for good things and be positive. You can't necessarily make yourself happy without actually doing something that makes you happy. So motivation is wonderful when it shows up, but it's not always predictable. Have you experienced that? You're like, why am I so motivated today to go to the gym? Or why am I motivated today to make a really beautiful dinner? Motivation can help us get started, like in the beginning, but we can't rely on it to get us where we need to be because it changes based on its energy, our emotions, our sleep, our health, our workload, and whatever else is happening in our lives. I'll admit today, I don't have a ton of motivation to work, but I kept saying, okay, just get that next thing done, get that next thing done. And I had to do a lot of things to kind of get myself ready to be motivated or to get the things done. So I'm going to share a little bit about how you can do that when you don't have the motivation. Because, a feeling of motivation was never meant to carry a 6-month goal, a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, a really intense goal. When we rely on that motivation, like we often think, I'm failing. And we feel that way because it disappears. The motivation disappears because there's so much excitement at the start of maybe something new, or so much hope, or maybe you have a lot of people doing it with you. And then all of a sudden you lose motivation. And it doesn't mean you've picked the wrong goal. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means you're human. And so, side note, before I jump in, the things you probably actually are missing, I'm going to let you know that She's Gold is going to be coming back. I'm going to be doing the She's Gold coaching mastermind program starting in August of 20, or sorry, September 2026. Doors will open in August of 2026. And it's a speed course to reach your goals. And the things that I'm going to be going through here, screw the motivation. I'm going to give you some other things that you can bring in that are also part of the She's Gold Mastermind coaching program. So here's the first thing that you could be missing. You could be missing clarity. Clarity. Sometimes we say, I want my business to grow. I want to get healthier. I want to make more money. I want to have more freedom. But then those goals are just too vague to act on. Or even worse, you don't know what you want. That's not clear. And so your brain needs to know you're actually working towards, what it looks like, what it is, that whole SMART goals thing. So it makes sense for what the first step would be. So when you say, I want to grow my business, what does that actually mean? Is it signing up 5 new clients? Is it increasing your monthly revenue? Is it launching a new offer? Is it reducing the number of hours you work? I've seen women work incredibly hard, but they still feel stuck because they haven't known what that success specifically looks like. And once that goal becomes clear, it's so much easier to decide what to do next and to tell other people about it. That's how I've been able to kind of have the next stepping stones show up for me in writing my one woman show called Chasing, because I've told people, I've been very clear about it, at least the things I knew, and people have kind of filled in things or shared things with me. So inside this She's Gold program, when you have clarity, this is what you get. The goals that actually matter most in this season, right? You're going to have that clarity, and not just for one area of life, but all areas of life, because what we want to make sure you're doing is not fulfilling one goal in one area that kind of screws over the goal in another area. So you're going to know what success looks like for you, not someone else, not your competitor, not what other people want you to do, but what it looks like for you, and not just success, but satisfaction. You're going to know your top priorities, because then you're going to stop trying to do everything. One thing that I talked about in a previous episode was intentional subtraction, and how I'm kind of saying no and getting rid of things in my life just to provide that space so I have more time, money, energy, and other resources. And then you'll know the next right steps instead of feeling overwhelmed by like all the possibilities. So I need to make more money. Well, how? I don't know. There's like 25,000 different ways I could make money. When you pick the one, now you're not going to be overwhelmed, right? You're going to know where to go. So that's the first piece, is the clarity. Once you have the clarity, you can come up with a realistic plan. We play in ideals for a little bit, but then we need to bring it down to a realistic plan, because you may know exactly what you want, but your plan might not fit your actual life, right? So you say, I want this. And then when you put it into your life, you're like, why don't I have the time? Why don't I have the energy? Why don't I have the resources or the money? Because we often create plans for the fantasy version of our lives. So in that fantasy life, that fantasy even week, nobody interrupts us. Nobody takes our energy and it's perfect. The kids don't need anything, neither does the rest of our family, friends, neighbors, anybody. And nothing unexpected happens. We don't have to fight any fires. That's not usually the life we're living, right? Especially if you're also a wife and a mother and taking care of elderly parents or just other people in your life. A lot of things come up, even with your business and clients. When I was running a business, managing a family life, and at the time, 2 kids under 3, I remember talking to my coach about how others were getting ahead of me. So I was looking at social media and being like, oh, they had a really big event, or, oh, they've just launched another book, or, oh, they were able to go like on this trip and do these things. with their clients. And it it was really hard. And that's why I was telling my coach at the time that like I felt envious, I felt jealous, I felt less than because I saw all the things that they were doing. And my coach said, "Do they have kids?" And I was like, "No." "Are they married?" "No." "Do they have family around that help them?" "Yes." And I'm like, "Oh, oh, okay. So maybe we're different, right? I was comparing two different things. And I could in my life pretend that I had endless uninterrupted time or energy, but I didn't. I had two young children. And then even when they went to school or daycare, even then, my coach is like, "How many hours can you actually work, actually focus?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like maybe I have 5 hours a day." And she's like, "But then you're like getting back from dropping off the kids and you're maybe having your lunch because you should have that." And she said, "So how many hours?" And I was like, "Maybe I work 4 hours a day, uninterrupted time." She said, "Diane, you can't build an empire on 20 hours a week." There you go. And no amount of motivation was going to change that fact, but the right plan can. And so I had to decide what's realistic in this season of my life. And then later on in this season. So I'm always having to look at what season am I actually in. And it could be, the season where I have COVID cough for 8 months. It could be the season where my father passes away unexpectedly. It could be the season where I had my Facebook account deactivated after already pivoting from doing a lot of live events to online. Now, all of that actually happened at the same time, the same time. And so the good plan should support your real life. So if you're going through hard times, then your plan should adapt for that. It shouldn't make you feel like you're constantly failing at an imaginary one where nothing is perfect. Because that's the easiest way to lose your motivation. And so these are the results you want when you have a plan. And this is what happens inside She's Gold. You'll create a practical plan that fits your real life, your real business or career. You're going to have clear action steps because that's like the biggest killer of motivation and confidence, right? You don't want to have that long, overwhelming to-do list that you never get through. You want to know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it and how it'll pan out. And then priorities that are going to help you focus on what will actually move the needle, not just busy work. A roadmap you can actually stick to, even when life gets busy, right? Even when you have to take a detour, something that takes you back. So adapting that plan, changing that plan as needed, and not having to do it on your own. The third piece, we've had clarity, your plan, and with those really, clear action steps that are realistic. Now we get into support and accountability. This may be the biggest missing piece for a lot of women because we're often willing to follow through with someone else depending on us, someone else's agenda. But when we make that commitment only to ourselves, it becomes so much easier to move, to miss, to cancel, or to never put on the calendar in the first place. So ask yourself, who would notice if you quietly stopped working towards a goal? So if you just were like, "I'm not doing this goal anymore," would anyone say anything to you? And if the answer is nobody, then that may be why it keeps slipping. A lot of my clients do their homework like the night before, the night before. And also, I can remember tracking my food that I knew my health coach was going to look at. I'll tell you, I didn't let that slip because she was looking at it every day and checking in with me. And I've watched women make more progress simply because they knew someone was going to ask, "How did that go?" And I've experienced this myself through coaches, masterminds, people who remind me of what I said I wanted. Like when I'm telling people about the one woman show chasing, every time I see people, they're like, "Now, where are you at? Where are you at? What's happening?" And so support doesn't mean that you're incapable of doing it. Support is just there to help you to get it done. to potentially create some motivation through accountability. And it means the goals matter enough so that you can stop relying on willpower and tap into the connection of someone else. And so these are the results that you want to have or you're going to have when you feel truly supported. And this happens inside She's Gold because you get my coaching support and then the mastermind support of the rest of the group. So in the group, you get regular coaching when you feel stuck and when you're killing it so that you can get further even faster. You also get accountability that keeps your goals from quietly disappearing or adapts so that you can still fit things in and still reach your goals. You're going to get a mastermind of women who challenge you, encourage you, and inspire you. You have these goal sister calls where you get to have check ins and celebrate progress with another one in the community. And speaking of community, you have a community that reminds you that you don't have to figure it all out alone. Key thing is different problems need different solutions. And you get that customized approach in a group environment because more motivation won't create clarity. More motivation won't fix an unrealistic plan, and more motivation won't replace meaningful support. So those are the three. So you can ditch needing to feel like you need more motivation. And what I found is that women don't need more motivation. They just need those three things. And it's basically what She's Gold is designed to provide. So clarity about what matters most, that realistic plan so you can actually follow it easily, accountability that's moving you forward, coaching when you get stuck, a community of ambitious women who understand the journey, and confidence that comes from finally following through. We don't need more motivation, ladies. We need clarity, a realistic plan, accountability, and support. And that's where real momentum begins. Having people in your corner. Motivation may help in the beginning, but support will keep you going through the hard times. It'll also give you a boost when you do well. And this combination of these three, it's not just about keeping you motivated every day. It's about helping you to continue moving forward, even on the days when motivation disappears. So information will be in the show notes. You'll be able to go through. Doors are open. We're in August. And so you will be able to check it out and join the She's Gold program at the level that works best for you. So as I close, remember, you don't have a motivation problem. You have a clarity plan or support problem. And each one of us needs a different solution. And I'd love to have you in She's Gold to be able to do that together. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and know that if you're listening to the podcast, we're also on YouTube. You can see the video and you can read the blog by signing up for my newsletter. Until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.